So John Deere 416C, very standard basic backhoe, about 80 horsepower. And we're going to start this up, let it warm up a little bit. We already checked our fluids. When you're looking at your controls, you have a side panel over here with your gauges for tachometer. This would be oil temperature. This is water temperature of the engine, and of course your fuel gauge. This is an override for your electronics, heat control. We won't really discuss the heat controls, but we're going to let it warm up a little bit as we discuss the different operating mechanisms. So the oil light went out. We're just going to put it into a slightly high idle for the warm-up period. Now the objectives for the class said loader operation. So this here is your loader controls. They are relatively standard across the industry. Years ago, some of the older machines used to have 2 levers, and that was a take off the old farm tractors, where your inside lever would actually raise the arms of the loader, and your outside lever would either tip it out or scoop it back. Then they went to a one single lever. What's actually going on is underneath this boot there's a hydraulic control that is 2 spool valves, the same as the old tractor loaders, one operating up and down, the other one working sideways to curl the bucket. There's also some with a third valve. The third valve is if you have a side tip bucket, and a lot of times that lever would be located over in this area. So in your bucket controls, just like the old farm tractors, you would pull the lever back to raise it, push it down to lower the arms, in towards you would curl, out would dump it out. I'm going to turn on the lights. Let's see. Light controls. That helps a little bit, you can see. And those are also your wiper controls. On your control forward and back, you would have a gear shift. Sometimes they're located off to the side here. Sometimes they're actually located right in between your legs on the older models. And this would be a standard 4-speed transmission in this model here. First, second, third, fourth. This little button right here on the end of your front loader control, that's actually a neutral button. When you're digging into a pile and your wheels are spinning, a lot of times you can hit that and stop the wheels from going forward while still maintaining forward bucket controls. It's rarely used. If you're pretty good with a throttle, you won't really need that too well. Have a standard throttle pedal as well as the manual throttle, and 2 brake pedals. The brake pedals, to stop, you will put your foot over 2 of them at the same time, or if one wheel is spinning, you would press the brake for that wheel to send power to the opposite wheel. This is actually a takeoff of farming. That little button right there that you hit with your foot, that is a posi lock. So this unit has 4-wheel drive plus posi lock on the back 2 wheels if you're in a very muddy situation. This has a shuttle shift forward, lever on the left side here. Reminds you of a turn signal in a car, but that's not what it is. You move this forward and backwards, and neutral in the middle to go forward, backward. You can see the little picture there. And it'll go depending on whatever speed you have your gear set. Obviously, road speed would be 4th gear. Most times in a job site, you're going to use 2nd, sometimes 1st, rarely 3rd. So we're going to use our lever. We're going to raise our front bucket. to get it out of the shed. We're going to put that back to idle. Normally you'd be using your left hand, but foot on the brake. Notice it's across both brake pedals. In reverse. And then you just back out of the shed. Brakes, neutral, and forward. You have to think about it as driving an automatic car, where you would go from drive to neutral to reverse, reverse to neutral to drive. To control the bucket, we're going to use our right hand. Pull back, bucket goes up. Push forward, bucket goes down. Push the lever out, bucket dumps out. Pull the lever in, bucket curls in. Now when you're carrying a loaded bucket, some of the things that you learn over time, keep your bucket down low. A good way to imagine that is keep the top of the bucket level with the front edge of the hood, lowers your center of gravity. If you're ever going down a very steep hill with a loaded bucket, you back down, always keeping the weight on the front end. Some of the tricks you can do is you can actually extend your rear boom to change your center of gravity on the machine. The danger occurs if you ever raise your bucket way high and it's full and you hit a pothole or some small hole, you can tip the machine. Very dangerous. A lot of rookies will do that. They'll keep it high because they say they can see better. Very bad practice. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it out here in the dark. We have a pile. Very difficult to see. You can kind of see some of the speckles. And what you would do is you would drive into the pile, getting your blade flat on the ground. Then you would go up and curl at the same time until you get a full bucket. Back out. And using your shuttle shift, you would take it to wherever you would need it on the job site. In this case over here, we have a truck sitting there. We'll just pretend that we're going to dump it into the truck. Keeping your bucket down low. Notice front of the bucket is level with the front of the hood. Top of the bucket. Once you get up to the truck, you stop, raise the body up, or the bucket up, until it gets over the sides. Get up near the machine, and then you're going to uncurl your bucket and pour it out. Once you're done pouring it out, you curl your bucket back up. As soon as you're clear of the machine, the truck, lower your bucket again. Always lower your bucket. Very safe practice. Backing up, this vehicle actually has a mirror, but you should always keep your head on a pivot.